So next we are going to learn about the motor areas. And motor areas is further classified into two types, that is primary or stomatic area or speech area. This primary is the primary function. So first of all, let me say what is motor area is. So motor area is the place where it receives the signals and it just gives the back the what the responses it will give back to the stimulated area. So we know that sensory areas are where the stimuli is started, but motor area will receive and just send the impulse from brain to the what the part it want to be centered. So it is further divided into two types, that is primary or speech area. So primary is the frontal lobe and speech areas is also in the frontal lobe, but its lateral suckers. So this present in the lateral suckers, and we know that primary, it's a primary area where the stimuli is happened or where the signal want to be gone. So that will be mostly regulate the voluntary movements. So like where the stimuli is received, right? So it may be in your skeletal muscles, the stimuli may be, or in some of the group of muscles. So that type of voluntary movements, not involuntary. Involuntary is not controlled by the our it's in every areas in our brain. So just remember voluntary movement when you're learning. So voluntary movement is just the stimuli sent back to the particular voluntary movement. If you want to walk, just the stimuli is enough, or just the impulse is enough for that, right, to walk. So that is what that. And next is the speech area. So speech area is, we know that as in the name it's associated with speech. So if you want to speak, and now I'm speaking with you, right? So this is also associated with my motor area. So next we are going to learn about the associated area. So the area which associates the sensory and motor areas are called associated areas. Just remember, sensory and motor area are associated as assisted by this associated area. There are four types of area, that are visual, prefrontal, frontal eyelid, auditory, facial recognition, orbitofrontal cortex. So first one is the visual. So as we know, vision, where is your vision is located. So we have already learned in the sensory area, it is located in your occipital lobe. Am I right? We have already learned in the sensory area, that is associated with your frontal lobe, occipital lobe. And this is main thing is the visual stimuli. If something is get inside your eyes, or if you want to see any far or near image, this will be associated. So just remember, associated area is associating the impulse. So the vision is associated by these areas, and it helps in the interpreted visual as well as recognition, to recognize someone else, or to vision for far and near vision. It is just associating. And prefrontal cortex is present in the anterior part of the frontal lobe, and then it is just an important thing, vision, right? Visions, after that it is present as the prefrontal. This will help in the recognition of a person's intellectual abilities. Some of the right, nowadays you're just watching K-pops, right? So in K-pop, important factor is that they will test the intellectual ability or intelligence of the particular K-pop celebrities. So all you know, in BTS, all of the famous thing, all of your interested person, right? In that, RM is the more intellectual person. And same way in your class, a class leader will be there. He is more intellectual and he will be a very intelligent person. He may answer whatever the question may be, right? The same thing, the person intellectual is controlled by prefrontal cortex. So this is the important part for testing the intellectual of a person. And next is the frontal eye field. Frontal eye field is present in the frontal lobe, and it is also a voluntary movement for our eyes. So while exam, you just look around here and there, here and there, right? To copy the answers from your friends. No, you just look here and there to copy answer. I need something else to want, right? So this is because of the frontal eye field. If it is not there, you cannot copy from others. Your eyes will be very straightforward looking into your notes only. Okay. So next one is the auditory. So auditory, from the name itself you can hear know that meaning, right? It is present in the auditory area. Just write like that, auditory areas. Because there are more than one auditory area in your whole brain, that is cortex. So just you can write auditory area, and then it is helps in the recognizing of auditory stimuli. And next is the facial recognition. So if you're going to a marriage function or any birthday party, or you're seeing someone else in that birthday party, so you just recognize this person. Yeah, I have seen in the bus stand, or I have seen him in the railway station, right? It is because of the facial recognition. Then next is the orbital frontal cortex. So it helps in the differentiation in the orders. So while you are going to a restaurant, some will just smell the milkshake and some will just smell the food items. So this is just differentiated by this orbital frontal cortex, which just associate that. So these are the 6 association areas. So next we can learn about the cerebral white matter. So cerebral white matter is present in the cerebral cortex. This is also a part of a cerebrum. So cerebrum is not completed. After this part only cerebrum is completed. So cerebral white cortex is present in the cerebral hemisphere. So mainly responsible for the communication between the cerebral areas or any cortical areas in the brain. It is just communicating with us, and it has many axons. You all know neurons, right? Neuron structure. At the end of the neuron, you have a axon, right? So that is the part which just get the stimuli and just go receive the stimuli and just gives the stimuli. What the stimuli is, response is given back. So that my particular axon is also connected with our brain. The part which the axon is connected is the cerebral white matter. So it has 3 tracks. So these 3 tracks are very important, that will receive and transmit the signals to our parts. So first one is the associated track, communicator track, and projection tracks. So this association tracks connects different parts in the same hemispheres. So there may be more and more hemispheres in your bodies, right? More and more impulse in your body, right? That all the impulse are connected or associated by this track. So this will send the signals between 2 hemispheres. From if any stimuli is received on a right cerebral hemisphere, so this will connect with the other left. So where the stimuli want to be sent, the particular area will be associated by this association track. And next is the commissionary track. So commissionary track will transmit the nerve impulse, between the 2 cerebral hemisphere. It is further divided into 3 types, that is corpus callosum, anterior chemistry, and posterior chemistry. And next is the projection track. So from the name itself you can write it, just project or just shows that, right? So that is the just main function of that. So it transmits the impulse between the cerebrum and other part of the CNS. So this is what the basic functions of cerebral white matter. So still that you have to, till this topic you have to write, if the question is what is cerebrum. It is a repeated question in the MGR University paper in MBBS students also, many others. So from cerebrum, let me revise. So cerebrum is a seat of intelligence. We all know that. So it consists of two hemispheres, that is cerebral hemisphere, right and left, and so it is a seat of intelligence. It consists of two hemispheres, right and left, and it is located in the upper portion of the brain, and it is present in the anterior and middle cranial fossa, and it is divided into two hemispheres, right and left hemispheres, and also it is divided into four lobes. What are the lobes? We have already learned that: frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe, and occipital lobes, and it consists of three suckers: central suckers, lateral suckers, and parietal occipital suckers. Central suckers is present in the frontal and parietal lobes, and lateral sucker separates the frontal and temporal lobe. Parietal occipital, as in the name, it separates parietal and occipital lobe. And then we have learned about the components of cerebrum. So the components of cerebrum are cerebral cortex, cerebral medulla, cerebral corpus callosum, falx cerebri, gyri. So these four parts are present. So cerebral cortex, it's the outer layer of the cerebrum which is made up of gray matter. And cerebral medulla, it is the inner part which has the white matter. And corpus callosum, it is just most inner part of this two. That is, corpus callosum is outer after medulla and after inside the corpus callosum. So it consists of more nerve impulse, more and more nerve impulse which connects the two cerebral hemisphere. And falx cerebri is the sticky or a middle lines which is lies in the two hemispheres. So it separates them. And gyri is divided into folding. Present in the gyri is called that is deep grooves are called fissure, shallow grooves are called sucker. And next, cerebral cortex. Cerebral cortex, it is 40% of the total brain weight, and it consists of 2 to 4 mm thick, but due to its presence of the gyri in the convolution, the surface area increases into 3 times, and there are more and more billions of nerve cells in it, and also you can see they are mainly made up of gray matter. So next one is the cerebral cortex function. So we have learned that it is responsible for conscious mind, and it also responsible for our self-awareness, and also pain, sense, and each and all associated by the cerebral cortex, and the skeletal muscles contractions, initiation, terminations, and maybe memory power, right? So next we have learned about the functional areas. They are mainly three areas, that is uh, major areas: are sensory area, motor area, and associated area. So first we have seen about the sensory area, which is divided into four: visual area, auditory area, gustatory area, and olfactory area. Next we have learned about motor areas. So motor areas are divided into two: primary and speech area. So next is the associated area, which is divided into six: visual, prefrontal cortex or frontal, and then frontal eye field, auditory, facial recognition, orbital frontal cortex. Then the last topic in cerebrum is the cerebral white matter. So it is mainly responsible for the communication purpose, and also communication purpose between the two cerebral hemisphere, and also it consists of many types of axons, so which are associated, commissionary, and projector. Associated, which will associates and connects the two hemispheres, and then commissionary tracts will transmit the nerve impulse between them, and projectory will transmit the impulse between them. And next we are going to learn about the functions of cerebrum. So cerebrum, the main function is it receives and processes information related to sensory stimulus. If any stimuli takes place in your body, it is just received by cerebrum and then it just given the particular response to that part. So we have know that there is sensory area and motor area in our brain, so this will receive and gives the particular informations to that part. This is because of this cerebrum's part, so it's the function also depends on that. And then next is the basal ganglia, so which is the next topic. It is also comes under the cerebrum. So cerebrum, it also consists of limb system, promoters, range, emotions, all this controlled by our cerebrum. And then it's associated with our mental health also, memory, we have already learned in the cerebral cortex. So I've already told we are going to learn about basal nuclei, right? So basal nuclei, it is deep within each cerebral hemisphere. In the picture, you can clearly see the basal nuclei. There is thalamus, amphicylum, and in the middle there is a circular part, right? That is what basal ganglia. So this is deep inside the cerebral hemisphere. They are present in the three types of nuclei, that are Homeless Padulus, Butimum, and the third one is the curated nucleus. These three are the main thing we have to remember, that is glomus pallidus, Butimum, and the third one is the caerated nucleus. These three are the main thing in it. So the basal nuclei, the first one is the glomus pallidus, which is close to the thalamus. So in this picture, see carefully, there is a part, there is light blue color, right? The light blue color, the back of that is thalamus. So the line which is present in the line which is present in this is called as glomus pallidus. And then next is the second one is putamen, which is close to the cerebral cortex. So you can see this back of that is the cerebral cortex, right? So this is close to the cerebral cortex, that is putamen. And then third one is the basal ganglia, is basal ganglia, and then it consists of a head and a tail. Can you see? A head and a tail is present. So this is when the basal ganglia. And these three parts are very important. These three are collectively called as corpus statium. This you have to remember very clearly. Next we are going to learn about the functions of basal ganglia. Basal ganglia will initiate and termination of the motor functions. It is responsible for the initiation and termination of the motor function, and it responds for the walk, or just swinging your hands while walking. You cannot control that. This is controlled by your subconscious mind, that is basal ganglia. So basal ganglia, which is responsible for our subconscious mind, which is present in the cerebrum, and then it also plays an important role in the attentions, and then it is responsible for the emotional behavior of our main thing that we show to others, right? So next we are going to learn about the cerebellum. So cerebellum, it's the second largest part of the brain, and it is present behind the medulla and pons. So you can see in this picture clearly, it is present behind the medulla and pons, right? Pons is present here, and behind that cerebellum is present. And it has a deep groove which is known as transverse fissure. So you can see there are like two cerebellum, right? In the middle you can see a small groove. This is the transverse fissure. Along with that you can see a pendulum cerebelli which separates the cerebrum from the cerebellum. You can see this. The cerebellum is separated from the cerebrum by this small way that is called as tendinum cerebelli. So next is the shape. The shape of the cerebellum is resembled as a butterfly. So the butterfly has two wings, right? When it is in a larva stage, you can see this particular structure in the butterfly. And also it has a swings like a lateral swings which is called as lobes in the cerebral hemispheres, and it also has the two parts which is called as cerebellum, flat cerebelly, the right and left cerebellum. It is separated by false cerebellum. So, as like cerebrum, the cerebellum is also consists of two lobes, that is right and left cerebellum lobes, which is divided or separated by false cerebelli. And the cerebral hemisphere are divided into anterior lobe, posterior lobe, and falconoidal lobe. This anterior, which is present in the anterior, and posterior is also present in the posterior, as in the name. The anterior is responsible for our body posture. When you want to sit, you can sit. When you want to stand, you can stand. You can play or you can bend. This was responsible for the from the anterior lobe. And next is the posterior lobe. Posterior lobe involves in the muscle movement contractions. If the muscles want to move, this is helped by the posterior lobes in your brain, that is the cerebellum's posterior lobe. And next is the falculator lobes, which involves the maintains the balance and equilibrium of the bodies. The main balance of a body when you stand in a particular a small maybe a near small pathway or a crossing path, right? This was supported by a falculator lobe to balance your body. Then the superficial layer of the cerebellum is called as cerebral cortex, and it consists of a gray matter. Then the parallelly it has a fold which is present in the cerebellum, which is called as the folly. And you can see here clearly there was a parallel fold which is present or called foily, and there is a white matter and also a gray matter. The gray matter is very deeper and white matter is shallow. So even deeper within the white matter, we can see here cerebellar nuclei. So this nuclei is responsible for all this impulse is transmitted throughout the body, brain and spinal cord through this axons present in the cerebellar nuclei. And then it has three pairs of cerebral pedulus. We have already seen in that picture, right? There are three pedulus which is responsible for the main impulse that is sent throughout our bodies, throughout the brain. This is responsible for by this pedulus. They are superior cerebral peduli, middle cerebral peduli, and then inferior cerebral peduli. As in the name, superior cerebral peduli is present in the superior part. So, what is the superior part in your cerebellum? So, you may have guessed or may have not. So, the superior parts are their midbrains. It's mainly present in midbrain, right? Superior parts are midbrains and other parts of the thing. So, this connects the cerebellum with midbrain. And also, they connects the axon which is present in the red nuclei. Red nuclei is also a part of this thing, and then they serves as a nuclei to the thalamus. Main nuclei for the thalamus is because of this. And next is the cerebral peduli. Middle cerebral peduli is the largest part and connects the pons by this peduli. And next is the inferior cerebral peduli. The inferior cerebral peduli connects the cerebellum with the medulla oblongata, and they and contains the axon that carry the sensory informations into the cerebellum. So next one is the function of cerebellum. So the cerebellum is the main thing. So we have already learned in the cerebrum. Cerebrum is responsible for intelligence and all the touch sense, and these are the things. Then after that, what are the sense organs, or the what are the posterior or the contraction of a skeletal muscle is controlled by the cerebellum. So cerebellum consists of superior, inferior and middle, right? The superior controls the coordination, anterior lobe, posterior lobe, foculomotor lobes, right? The anterior lobe involves the regulation in the body posture, and posterior lobe involves in the muscle movement. So this is what the function of cerebellum. And then what are the things you're learning now by watching this video or watching some other things? These are stored or just collected in the cerebellum. So the memories, all the things are just present in the cerebellum. So some may say that if someone has got any injuries on their back head, they will forget everything easily. This is because of the cerebellum. So this is what a simplest thing cerebellum. We've completed the topic cerebellum. So next we are going to learn about the dinocephalon. So as we know, dinocephalon consists of thalamus, hypothalamus and epithalamus. So first we can learn about the dinocephalon. So as in the picture you can see the dinocephalon is present in the superior to the brain, right? They are just present upper part. The thalamus and hypothalamus is the dinocephalon. Okay, so the superior part of the brain is this dinocephalon, and it extends from the brain to the cerebellum and surrounds the third ventricles. It just extends from stem brain, then to the cerebrum, and then to the third ventricle of your brain. And we have already know it includes thalamus, hypothalamus, epithalamus. The first one is the thalamus. So I think you may have already learned in your school days what is thalamus, right? So what is thalamus? So it's just a part which is responsible for our actions. And the more sensory things, emotional behaviors, all this are controlled by thalamus. So that is what its structure do. So it consists of a paired oval masses. From this picture you can clearly see that they are paired oval masses, and its length from 3 centimeter in length, and it forms the 80 percentage of the dinocephalon. Remaining 30 percentage, or 20 percentage are covered by this epithalamus and hypothalamus. These are the two things which covers very lesser part than the thalamus. So in the dinocephalon, not overall brain. Overall brain, the total part is covered by cerebrum. Okay, and in dinocephalon, total part is covered by thalamus. And the bridge of the gray matter consists of an left and right half of the thalamus. So the gray matter which is present in the cerebral cortex has an half of the thalamus, right and left of the thalamus. So this gray matter is divided as into Y-shaped septum. So this which is called as internal medulla lamina. And based on the position and function, we divide this into various nuclei: anterior, medulla, lateral, ventral. These are the positions, right? According to a position, it's just mentioned here. So which position, which function is. So according to a position, their functions also varies. So anterior, medulla, lateral, ventral, interlaminar, midline, lenticular nucleus are present, and also thalamus acts as a relay station. It receives the signals from the spinal cord and just send it to the brain. So this is what the main function of thalamus. So as we have already learned this thalamus while we are learning its general thing, right? Functions, just revising it. So we know that it is act as a relay center for receiving the signals from the spinal cord to the brain and send it to the brain, and it also helps in the alertness of our daily activity. When you want to get up at early morning, it just alerted by thalamus gland. And do you know, you should not use alarm overly, because your brain will lose the control of controlling your wakenness or the role in acrosal alertness will be failure if you are keeping alarm overly. So just control that. And also thalamus responsible for the center for motor functions. Just receive and just send it, receive and send it. This is what the function is. And also responsible for the emotional behaviors. So next is the hypothalamus. So as I have already told, thalamus is the major part and the hypothalamus is the very smallest part. So the smallest part in the dinocephalon is the hypothalamus, and it mainly consists of 12 nuclei in it, and they are divided into four main parts. As in thalamus, the thalamus has anterior, posterior, midline, intramedulla, lateral, ventral, and reticular nucleus, right? As like that, it also consists of many nuclei in it, like dorsal, medial, arcuate, ventral, paraventral. Many types are divided, and they are divided under this four main regions. There are four main regions in the hypothalamus, that are and a mammillary region, tubular region, supraoptic region, and preoptic region. Once again repeated: mammillary region, tubular region, supraoptic region, preoptic region. Mammary region is just like a nipple shape. Just see the thalamus. There is a structure which is just below that, right? Optic chiasm, right? There is a nipple shaped structure in above that. So that is what this mammillary region is. And above that there is a tubular region, that is tubular. There is a tubular structure, that is tubular region, and above that supraoptic region is there, which superior to the optic chiasm. You can see the optic chiasm in the diagram, right? And above that the supraoptic region is present. And next one is the preoptic region, which is present above the supraoptic regions. Okay, so very simple, right? And they are consists of this types of ventral. So just remember some of, don't need to write whole, just remember some nuclei is enough for writing. And next we can go for the function of the hypothalamus. It is mainly responsible for the ANS regulations. ANS is the automatic nervous system which controls your parasympathetic and sympathetic. That is, while fighting situation and rest situation, these are the things will be controlled. Next is the hormone protection, thermoregulation, emotional behavior and controlling of heat, eating and drinking, and also control of our sleep walk cycles. When you go to work, you want to wake up and then again sleep, wake up, sleep, right? This was controlled by our hypothalamus. I have already told alertness is controlled by thalamus, and then sleep cycle is controlled by hypothalamus. First one is the regulation of ANS. I have already told you voluntary movements of all our body is controlled by hypothalamus. And then hormone production, we know anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary is present in the hypothalamus. This you may have learned in the hormones while you are learning 12th, right? So the same thing is repeated here. The anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary is responsible for this protection. The production is responsible from the hypothalamus. And thermoregulations, your body temperature is maintained all over your body, normal temperature or in fever condition when it increase. These was regulated by our hypothalamus. And then I have already told emotional behavior, control of eating and drinking, and also control of our sleep walk cycle. So emotional behavior, we all know anger, pleasure, feels, and smiling, hearing sense, all controlled by hypothalamus. And we know that a part present in the hypothalamus is optic chiasm, right? That is the present in the vision. So to see the thing or to hear, this was controlled by our hypothalamus. And then eating and drinking. So when you feel thirsty, a center in the hypothalamus, that is called ADS or vasopressin. the hormone which is produced in the hypothalamus will control your drinking sense. It will sense the just simulate the thirsty feel, and you will have a thirsty feel and drinks water. So this is what's controlled by our hypothalamus. And then sleepwalk cycle. So sleepwalk cycle, it is because of the superchiasmatic nuclei. So your brain basically have a biological clock regulation. So some may have gone to foreign, some your parents may be in foreign. If you have asked to them, they will say that after coming to India, they will have a difference in their sleep cycle. They will not feel sleepy at night. Some will feel sleepy at morning. The mostly one who works in the America, they will feel sleepy at morning and they will not feel that much sleepy on night. So again, when they go to America after a month or 2 months, they will feel sleepy at day and they will feel on unsleepy at night. So this is what the main problem which will be happens while you're changing your basic areas. So to control that, some may have some meditations or something else to control their mind. Just your brain need a few days to set that mindset, and it will be at a clock. So biological clock is present in your hypothalamus. And next we have completed this cerebrum, cerebellum, dinocephalon in this video. And next is the brainstem. So brainstem is mainly consist of midbrain, pons, medulla oblongata. This medulla oblongata has the cranial nerves. So under that we will learn the cranial nerves and reflex index and more on. So first one is the midbrain. So midbrain is made up of mesosphenna, which is the present in the pons of your brain. The midbrain is just present above the pons region of your brain, and also it consists of an it connects the third ventricle and fourth ventricles, and it consists of medulla oblongata, pons, and more nuclei and tracheids are present in it. So it is further divided into cerebral pons, tectum, substantia nigra, and renate nuclei. So this was the parts in the midbrain which is connect your overall activities. First one is the cerebral pedulus. Cerebral pedulus is the anterior part of your brain, and it has conducts the nerve impulse from cerebral cortex to the spinal cord. And next is the tectum. Below that or backside of the cerebral tectum or cerebral pedulus, this tectum is present. In this picture, you can clearly see that the cerebral pedulus, that is a superior collatus, is present above, and back of that you can see the tectum, right? Superior and inferior, back you can see this tectum. That is what the uh, cerebral pedulus, and then back you have tectum. So it consists of two superior and inferior colliculi, which is responsible for our main auditory pathway or then reflex ascenders of our brain. And next is the subcutaneous nigra. Subcutaneous nigra is just has two types, two division, that is left and rights, and it has largest and darkest pigment and contain dopamine producing nerve cells. Dopamine is the main thing which is present in our body to control all your hormones or all your sleep cycles, all are controlled by dopamine, and some may take dopamine as a supplement to control this. And any deficiency in the neurons cause Parkinson's disease, which we called as uh, some will touch the iron, right? You know this disease is very familiar. Some will touch the iron when they feel uh, very they feel when they're very way attack or something else, they feel like pain in the body and just move their body here and there, then they will give an iron to their hands too. This is what the Parkinson's disease is. And next is the red nuclei. So next to red nuclei is the last part of the midbrain. So it just integrates the information from the cerebrum and cerebellum and consists of oculomotor trochlea nerves too. This is the parts in the cranial nerves we will learn next to the midbrain, to the medulla oblongata. And they are in the ovuloid shapes. Then functions of midbrain. So midbrain's main functions are visual and auditory reflex and control motor functions.